What's up, guys? This is English Grammar Explained, and this time we talk about necessity, obligation, and prohibition. So first things first, let's look at the examples. The show must go on. So here we have must and then bare infinitive. So the main idea here is that, well, I think so. I say the show must go on. I decided, I have this idea, and so on, so on. So it's just my opinion. Okay, number two, there was no bus, so I had to take a taxi. Here we have this thing, had, and then full infinitive. Here I have this thing, had, and then full infinitive. This is past, by the way. This is past simple. And here we have the necessity. What is more, this necessity comes from outside, if you will. So I have these circumstances. I didn't want to take a taxi, perhaps, but I had no choice. So there's necessity that comes from outside. It doesn't depend on myself, just my situation, just circumstances. Okay, what about number three? Our car needs fixing. Here we have this need with S, but it doesn't really matter. And then we have fixing, so basically it's gerund. It's interesting because we all know that modal verbs are not used with gerunds, but here needs is basically not a modal verb, a real modal verb. So here I express my opinion. I say that in my opinion our car needs some fixing. By the way, we can also put this sentence like this: needs to be fixed. So here we have infinitive. So here I have again my opinion. I say so, just like in number one. But unlike number one, where we have strong necessity, here we just have some needs and talk about needs. Okay, what about number four? You can't smoke here. Here we have can't, cannot, in other words, and then we have bare infinitive. And here we have prohibition. That's classical prohibition. In other words, you are not allowed to smoke here. Okay, number five, we don't need to pay for lunch, it's free. This thing here, don't need, with full infinitive here, it's very similar to number three, needs fixing or needs to be fixed. If we use this not, or don't, or didn't, or whatever, this is absence of necessity. So it's not necessary. There is no need because it's free. So what modal verbs are used to express obligation and necessity? As we see, we have must and probably have to or had to, and maybe need, and perhaps something else. Let's see. So number one, verb number one, which is strongly associated with necessity and obligation, is must. And it basically means that I'm obliged to do something. Or in other words, I think, it's my opinion and it's very important, I think it is necessary to do something. And as an example, well, I must take up swimming to keep myself fit. So when we use must, we basically explain our opinion, our view. When I say I must, I mean that it's my opinion, it's my view, if you will. I think I'm obliged to do something. I think it's necessary for me to do something, and this is it. And of course, let's not forget, must doesn't have past. It is used only in present and future. So, enough with must. What else can we use here? In number two on our list is have to, or its more informal brother, have got to. So what is this thing? Have to expresses necessity from outside, not in my view, but from outside. In this case, other people decide for me. So what does it mean? Let's have this example. There is no bus. I'm standing at the bus stop waiting for a bus, but there is no bus. So I have to take a taxi because I want to go home. So here we have some circumstances, and I act just according to my circumstances. So I speak about my circumstances basically. Okay, what else? There is another interesting modal verb here. It's rather exotic, but people use it. And this is ought to. To here and here. It's just a part of infinitive. So here we have and then full infinitive. Same thing with ought. After ought, we use full infinitive. So what does this ought mean? It means duty, a good thing to do. From moral point of view or social point of view or whatever, but it's a good thing to do, it's right thing to do, but it is not always done. So I try to illustrate this with this example. We ought to pay taxes. So here we have ought, then we have full infinitive. We ought to pay taxes. Why? Because it is a law. It is a law of the country, it is a law of the land, and it's illegal not to pay taxes, but some people don't. However, it is a right thing to do. All good citizens pay their taxes. And last but not least, we have need. Need is very interesting verb because it can be both modal and ordinary verb. It is sometimes used with to, with full infinitive, and with bare infinitive. When it is modal, it is used with bare infinitive, but when it is ordinary verb, it is used with full infinitive and even with gerund. So what does need mean? It means that something is necessary to be done. In some way it resembles must, but it's not so strong. It is not so straightforward, if you will. Let's have some example. His car needs fixing, or in other words, his car needs to be fixed. So in this case, I just express again my opinion, but it's not so strong. It's not so straightforward. I just express my opinion, and if we compare must and need, we see here I am obliged to. So I think I must do it. I think it's necessary for me. It's very important for me to do it. But in case of needs, I think it's necessary for somebody else or for something else to be done or being done. And this is all about modal verbs expressing obligation and necessity. The next video will be part 2, and we will talk about absence of necessity and of course about prohibition. What is prohibition? What is the absence of necessity? That will be in number 2. And this is all for now. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, leave your comments, share, like or dislike or whatever, and see you in the next video.